comes to the FBI and our domestic services, I think a big part of this at this point is that, you know, this is their job. This is what they get paid for. So they're gonna find whatever. Like if you tell them you need to find extremists, dangerous extremists, they're gonna.
Oh yeah, they're gonna invent them.
They've been really rubbing our nose in this in the last couple of years about how, like, you know, here's the new military, here's the new FBI. It's like all purple hair ladies with the cats and stuff like that. Those people, like, they're not. I'm not worried about them becoming like the next Black Hand. You know, like this is mysterious, super competent. Secret police service that'll cause World War III to happen. No, they seem like they're more like that. Let's just sit back and pretend that we're busy so we can keep collecting our paycheck.
Yeah, and this is a huge problem for every institution in the US. And again, like once the empire comes home, this is what everyone was doing in Afghanistan. Like just sitting around collecting a paycheck, sort of bleeding Uncle Sam dry in like the biggest sort of corruption case probably in the history of humanity, just measured in dollars.
Every time we talk about pretty much anything that involves the government now, it comes back to the central thesis that you said on our show in the very first time. Like there's these people who they're parasitically feeding off of government money, and like they're just they can't stop because they're out on our ass if it stops. They can't really reduce the threat. Like they have to keep ramping things up, escalating everything to make room for more and more of them until just like we're spending the entire fucking GDP on useless bureaucrats.
Yeah. And this sort of ties into the other part of the docket of a good secret police agency. And Okrana was very meticulous about this too. The really important task that people really don't appreciate is to monitor your own population and then write up reports of, you know, the frog being boiled. You sort of listen in on what people are saying at the pub or the local fish market or whatever, and then you just go, I think these people can take 5% more abuse. After that, things are going to explode. So our recommendation, if you're going to increase the abuse, keep it to 5%, but ideally, like, turn it down 10%, because like we're sort of hitting the limit, and once we hit the limit, things are going to go bad. So, you know, before the revolution of 1917, like the first one, the October Revolution, the February Revolution, the October Revolution is the second one. So the February Revolution is basically all of Russian society, including the military, turning on the Tsar. That's not where the Bolsheviks take over. They take over half a year later. But in this revolution, the big cities of Russia, because of, you know, total sort of incompetence and decadence, with Russia having like these elites that sort of only parasitize on the population, like they can't run the empire, but you have to pay them all of these salaries and give them all of these privileges because they're the guys. The entire state like stops functioning over time, and it really stops functioning with the war. And so you have like real starvation in the big cities, and this starvation goes on for months and months and months. Like, it's not people having no food, but it's people sort of having to stand 40 hours in a bread line after working 40 hours, and then maybe getting bread like 50% of the time. You can probably survive for a while, maybe half a year doing that, but you're going to get really, really, really angry in the process. And so the Okrana is writing up all of these reports saying that, okay, you know, you have all of these mothers who are watching their kids starve. And like at the start of this debacle, revolutionaries had basically no voice, like nobody listened to them. But now people are starting to say, like, the only way to get bread is to depose the not just like Nicholas II, like the Tsar. Maybe we need to remove monarchy altogether. And so the longer this starvation period keeps up, the more people are going to put two and two together. Like, they're going to start associating not having bread with living in a monarchy. So you need to get them bread. Like, if you don't, you're going to have a revolution. We can't predict when. Maybe it's going to take like 3 months. And then it take like 3 months and 2 weeks or whatever. But like, they wrote a ton of these reports, and most of them were fairly accurate. And like, that was their job. Once you have 100,000 like really angry women, or 200,000, which is a thing that happened, by the way, like in Petrograd or St. Petersburg, as it's known today. Like, once you have those people out on the streets, sort of mucking everything up and forcing their husbands and brothers and sons to go on strike, there's nothing a secret police can do. Like, it's not a military arm of the government. And even if it was, like, the situation has gotten so bad that if you use the military to kill like 100,000 mothers or whatever, congrats, you've just lost the mandate of heaven in a very serious way. And like, at that point, someone in the military is just going to say, if I shoot this guy who ordered the murder of 100,000 women that just wanted to eat, I get to be the next big guy, and everyone's going to hail me as a hero for slaying this insane psychopath. And so, man, this is the easiest promotion of my life. Like, once you sort of embed that institutional logic, it's going to be a matter of days, maybe even hours, before someone accidentally drops a grenade into your lap. So like, the point of the Okrana here was just to sort of say, like, this is what the system can take, and it's up to you guys to actually run this country to make sure that the bread gets where it's needed. Like, that's not the job of us spooks. It's not the job of the FBI to make sure that people have gas or that the lights are on. Like, we're not electricians. We are the ones telling you just how much you can sort of hit these people with a stick before you lose control. What matters, what the secret police really does, and this is not a Palantir, this is not a panopticon, like, this is a really useful aid, let's just say. It's monitoring their own population and preventing these sorts of like pressure cooker explosions, which can happen if you mismanage your own empire too long. Like, you need two things for the system to work. You need a really good secret police that's actually interested in the job. The Okrana was really interested in that job, by the way. And you need elites who are competent and willing to actually take those reports seriously. Like, what the American, like, sort of secret police community, like all of these alphabet agencies have demonstrated is that they're really interested in doing essentially what the army does, which is, we're going to buy this new F-35 and it's going to cost like 300 million a piece. Can it fly? No. Does it matter? Like, it's a giveaway to Lockheed Martin. And I'm going to be working at Lockheed Martin after I retire. Like, you have the same dynamic. All of this sort of, surveillance through digital media. And, they can spy on your iPhone or whatever. Like, a lot of that stuff, like the big sort of thing that they've invested a ton of resources in is just scrub, like, all the things that's being said, like all of the data from the internet. And they don't have nearly enough money, because manpower is expensive, to actually have people go through that, like, message by message for every American. So they're just sort of warehousing this stuff because, servers are, like, there's someone's paycheck. And then they're going to say that, then they're saying that, well, once AI comes in, like in Deus Ex, we have Daedalus, which, is made by the Illuminati to just monitor the entire internet. Like, once that happens, we're going to have the NSA Palantir. Like, once we monitor everything that's ever said on the internet and use an AI, like, we're going to be totally in control. Actually, no. Even if you can do that, like, all of that information sort of mastery, you sort of either have to have that mastery to, one, as we just went over, prevent people from building bombs, but that's not really important, or two, find out where, like, the pressure cooker explodes.
So, like, I guess one way to think about it, so, like, imagine if you fought World War II and you had, like, perfect information, you had, like, godlike, omnipotent information of everything that happened, but you don't have an army at all, you're still going to lose. Like, so there's only so much that this monitoring that can actually do, right? I mean, so how much changing of mind? I mean, because really, it's how much these. Maybe you can put, like, certain outliers in jail, but you can't just, like, arrest a third of the population.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's points in sort of these developments where you're really in checkmate. So even if this AI stuff actually worked, like it was actually a panopticon, spoiler alert, it's not. It doesn't work, other than sort of make this entire ecosystem for all of these contractors. You know, Edward Snowden, he worked for the NSA in theory, but he actually worked for Booz Allen, which is a private company with like not that much oversight. And Snowden famously said that, like, you know, my bosses don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I could actually tap Obama's email and phone or whatever, and like my bosses wouldn't even find out.
Yeah, I said Panopticon. I meant Palantir, right? So Palantir is this Peter Thiel product they use, and this is supposed to be, you know, it's this magic thing that lets them know everything.
Yeah, where does the name come from?
From Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, what is the Palantir in Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
I love how fucking nerdy that shit is.
Yeah.
It's great.
Do you know? So the Palantir product is used by the intelligence service. It's used by the military. You know who's the third customer of it?
No.
The United States medical system.
Interesting.
You see how well that works.
Yeah.
This is the same. This, you know, all it does is it gives them trends and stuff.
Yeah, but the problem for this, like, you know, we're going to have the panopticon, we have the Palantir, I'm going to steer into the crystal ball, and we're going to find all the chuds and throw them in jail. The problem is, if you would have done that, what you would have needed to do is like the Mao move, which is like you do the 100 flowers thing where you say, like, hey, everybody, I want you all to just speak as freely as you can, and we'll let 100 flowers bloom in school. You know, all this stuff will happen, and it'll be great. And then once they do that, you find out who the dissidents are, and you get them. You can't do that anymore in America. Like, for sure in America, you could have done that 10, 15 years ago. You could have done it 5 years ago, probably. People thought like that you had free speech. People know now you got to keep your fucking mouth shut if you say something. Like, if you have any opinion that goes against the rainbow blob, you need to shut the hell up, or you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get fired. You're going to get all kinds of social consequences. You're going to, like, both of my parents have been banned from social media for like being too right wing on like politically. Like that's, I mean, to us that's normal. Like, to them, that's crazy. Like, somebody can ban you and stop you from exercising your free speech on Facebook or Twitter. That's bullshit. But now they know what the deal is, and you couldn't even do that if you wanted to, because great example of this is when they do like these push polls and they ask people stuff, and they're saying like, "Wow, there's been a huge decrease in the number of people who will willingly say this opinion that goes against our narratives." And like, but like also at the same time, we're getting a lot of people who refuse to answer questions. Well, there you go.
Yeah, like this is the big thing. So even if we assume that, like, if you have the Palantir by Peter Thiel, you become omnipotent. Like, if you play chess, you can literally predict all of the moves that can ever be made and that's going to be made. And you have like this perfect vision, like a supercomputer, except, you know, much better than the actual chess playing supercomputers we have. Like, you're literally God. I mean, what do you do if you have that godlike power and you're standing, like, watching over the shoulder of the actual player, which is Kamala Harris, who's playing chess, and you're saying, well, you know, I'm God. I know that if you move this piece here, and Kamala Harris just says, I don't care. Shut up.
This thing that this Palantir came out of, it almost sounds, it's kind of anachronistic now because people almost don't remember it. There was this time when people thought, this is not that long ago, you think of like Nate Silver and stuff, and things like prediction markets. People thought that like you could use like these little algorithms that would just tell the future. I think that's their dream is gone pretty much. I don't even think anyone believes that now.